Hey there, Ryan Kingsline here, and you know what? It's Saturday morning as I record this, and I'm just watching the kickoff for the Character Artist Bootcamp over at Game Art Institute. I'm watching the kickoff with Marcin Kalicki, and I thought I would get in because there's been a really cool thing that's happened in one of the students, and we're actually looking at his work right now. Marcin is talking to him. Right now, you can see there's a GoToWebinar interface or GoToMeeting, which is what we use to do this, and giving direct step-by-step feedback there. But what I really wanted to talk to you about today is this guy Bryan Link, who's doing something that everybody has to do. Everybody's got to do what Bryan's doing, all right? And this is Artist Awake that you're looking at right here. And I've gotten Bryan's permission to show you guys this stuff. I don't show you student work unless they've given the okay, because Artist Awake is our home. It's our special place where we go and produce all of our work and really help each other grow and really help ourselves get to that kind of next level. So one of the things that I thought was really amazing, it came up today when Bryan was talking to Marcin, and he was talking about how, first off, look at how much work he's producing, right? But he was talking about how just a little bit ago, he couldn't really get the level of form that he wanted. And so what we want to do is we want to look at how he has grown. And this is a track that many of us are on. This idea of we start sculpting and we reach a certain level, a certain plateau that comes from the level of knowledge and experience that we have. So in Bryan's case, one of the things that you'll notice is it actually looks really damn good. It's great stuff. But Bryan experiences this as a plateau. And so how does he get past this? This is something that happens a lot with tattoo artists, with graffiti artists, as they start to add to their oeuvre into their tool set. They realize that there's certain things that they're missing, certain stylizations, that in order for them to start to do it, they got to start to learn something more. So one of the things they do, and one of the things that's very useful, is you jump into anatomy. But anatomy is it's a bottomless pit. Right? It's like free diving. You're never going to get to the bottom of it. You're going to need to come up for air at some point. It takes time. And not only does it take time, but it takes mileage. And that's what Bryan did. So I'm going to come back to this image, but I want you to see basically from May 12th, June 6th. And then he starts the boot camp. And we've got August 21st. We're in September 9th right now. This is the first head that he does within the boot camp itself. The other one was when he was doing part of the on-demand. He took a character artist on-demand bundle where you learn on your own, and he discovered he really, really wanted to go and take his knowledge to the next level, which usually you need a coach. You need somebody to guide you through, and so that's what we're doing, right? Day one. Look at this, all right? Great stuff. Really amazing stuff. Some anatomy problems in terms of looking at it from this direction and finding out how the head connects to the neck. That's always a bit of a tricky area. But every day he's producing work. Now, one of the things that you might notice, look at this. He says, day 2, I'm feeling better about this one. Thanks, everyone. Okay, but for me, this isn't the strongest. Okay, look at how far the nose goes back. And look at, if you're studying this from an anatomical perspective, the maxilla would be something that'd be having problems. Now far forward this is. Okay, but notice the similarities of this model. Notice the similarities of this model with this model in terms of the nose and the far forward facing lips. Okay. One of the things that you got to understand as you grow is you will not be comfortable with what you were doing, because comfort is something that you know. And as you go into the dark wood, if you're comfortable with it, you're going the wrong direction. You need to turn around and go into the direction of discomfort in order to grow, because comfort is what got Bryan here, but it's also what got Bryan at a plateau. And now when he starts to go off the reservation and he starts to do things that are maybe a little bit more anatomically specific, he's uncomfortable with it. In this case, look at what he's done with the brow, the glabella and the superciliary arch. Look at this triangular form right above the eye, right? This is called the external angular process of the frontal bone. You will not find that in Google. I had to Google that for, I think, an hour before I found that name. Oh my God. And so you can see similar patterns in the lips, a pattern that he's learned and he's repeated. Okay, but notice how he's really breaking out this zygomatic bone and separating the zygomatic bone from the cheekbone, okay? And he's doing this it's a really great from this view over here as well. And as he goes, he's going to be growing and feeling a little bit of discomfort. Like notice how there's a lack of a zygomatic bone here in the one that he did in May, okay? Now, let's keep going, right? So he went and he did a sculpt August 21st. August 22nd, he does another, and he feels more comfortable with it. But I think you and I can agree that maybe the first one had a little bit more anatomy in it, maybe. And then he comes back, and he's got day 3. Feeling like he's got the likeness. Things are interesting. He kind of has a sense of where he's going with it. He's really starting to think about forms and what happens with the two parts of the eyelid, the part of the eyelid that connects to the eyeball and the part of the eyelid that connects to the infraorbital margin. Yeah, bottom part of the eye orbit, right? And he's thinking about the nose in different shapes. And notice how the front plane of the face has started to appear. Notice how he's got the nose lined up more with the lips and all of that, okay? Notice how from below he's got these views where he's got a great superciliary arch pushing that thing out. Day 4. He's changing the lip structure. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but look at that. He's changing the lip structure, okay? Right or wrong, he's changing the lip structure, and he's experimenting with how to put that lower lip out a little bit. So he's starting to experience more of this. And he says right here, this one was a lot of struggle. But I think we can agree that this is really showing a sign of growth. Day 4, all right? Let's take this one in its own little tab. Let's move this one into its own tab. And then let's come in here and grab this one and just go back and forth between the two of them. Can you see some growth in terms of the anatomy? Anatomy is information, all right? This is the thing that people miss. They don't understand. Everybody thinks, okay, if I'm studying anatomy, I got to learn all of these elements of anatomy. I got to learn, oh crap, I got to learn all of this elements of the muscle attachments and the insertions and the origins and all of that. Okay, the easy way to approach anatomy, because a lot of anatomy you don't see. Like you don't see the vertebral processes in your spine. You just don't see them unless somebody's crazy skinny. Most of the time, all you see related to the spine is a bump because the muscles have pushed out from it. You don't see ribs in a male that's built up. You see ribs in a female or a skinny guy, right? Anatomy is sometimes more visible than other times. So part of our job is to know what anatomy really moves the needle, what do you really need to know. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to information. And I want to take a second and really hammer in this notion of anatomy is information. In fact, let's just copy this image. There we go. Now, in terms of anatomy is information, the idea that anatomy is information, look at this. Let's do this in red so you see this. That's information. That bump is information. This triangle is information. This line and this line, this is all information that helps us create planes. This philtrum, that's an information. That line is information. This form is information. Okay? And when we are working and developing our capacity, what we're trying to do is we're trying to put more information into a sculpt. Okay, take a look at this. And in this particular case, We'll look at it from this perspective. There's not a lot of information here, right? Look at the superciliary arch. Now, sometimes, of course, this is what you got to do. But see, this right here is how you get out of the plateau. This is how you get out of the plateau. So if we go back to the guy who's like a graffiti artist and an amazing graffiti artist, or the guy who's been drawing for a long time, but drawing mostly stylized work. You know, like they're drawing stuff for Pixar movies. You know, and I'm not talking about the concept artists at Pixar, right? I'm not talking about the guys, the professionals that are doing that, because the professionals that do this don't just do one style. They're usually doing multiple styles. And the key to being able to do multiple styles is what I'm talking about right now. It's about taking information, which is anatomy, and presenting it in a fashion that controls how somebody responds to it. Is somebody responding to it in a sense of peacefulness? Is somebody responding to it in a sense of aggressiveness, right? And so a character designer will go in and take the anatomy they know of the superciliary arch and the glabella that's up in here, and this infraorbital margin and this triangle and the brow and all that, and they'll convert that down into shapes that will augment, right? There'll be triangular shapes that augment whether or not somebody is kind of an evil character. And so anatomy starts to become part and parcel of emotion. You only put the anatomy in that helps develop the emotion. This is in terms of stylized. But in order for you to work on that capacity, right? If you're going to be a character designer for Pixar or something like that, and you're going to make the next, let's say, Mr. Incredible. It's incredibly simple. Mr. Incredible is incredibly simple in its design, but not in terms of the process that leads up to that design. You have to keep that in mind, right? And so somebody who is able to draw Mr. Incredible, that doesn't mean that they could actually design Mr. Incredible and the whole rest of the team and all the other stuff that they're working on over at Pixar and over at Disney. And that's the battle that you and I face. So here we are with Bryan, and Bryan can sculpt simplified designs, but he's missing this extra part of the eyelid that connects to the bone down here. He's missing the zygomatic. He's missing this extra part of the eye that fits up in there, right? This empty part of the eye in some cases. He's missing the lateral cartilage and then the connection with the nasal bone. He's missing a lot of form in here in terms of how the cheek fat works. He's missing that the masseter is a big form, that it's responsible, and then the form kind of dives away from there, and he's missing the connection to the neck. Okay? And you might look and say, hey, well, it's all stylized, so, you know, there you go. But really, and this is the thing that this is why I wanted to share this, okay? Because Bryan knew this, and he devoted himself to solving the problem. He knew he was at a plateau. He knew he could do it, but he wanted to go to the next level, right? And next level is what this boot camp is all about. This boot camp isn't about teaching you how I do characters, how Marcin does characters, or how somebody else does characters. This is about you, right? And so you bring your energy to the table and watch yourself grow, and we watch you grow, and we help you grow, and we give you the feedback and the tips and the points and the things that really move the needle on your career, all right? Because that's what it's all about. So let's get back in here. And so now this is day 3 we were looking at. Let's take a look at day 4. We were just looking at that. And then now let's take a look at day 5. In 5 days, he started to do something that's really important. He started to discover information. You're going to see why he did that here in a second. But he has started to discover and play with anatomy. And that's the key component here. So if we switch back to this, notice in this piece, let's get rid of this. He's got these 1, 2, and he's playing with the forms underneath here. Right? People always tell me, like, you know, okay, I got to learn anatomy, right, Ryan? And I'm like, no, you got to sculpt, my friend. You got to sculpt, right? You got to do exactly what Bryan is doing here. You got to put the mileage in. I could tell you all the information as I'm telling you right now about all of this form, and you could hear it inside your mind, and you could say, yeah, Ryan's right. Yeah, Ryan's right. Look at that. That's awesome. And then you can go back to your sculpt, and you'll be, what the hell did Ryan say? Where was that? Hearing it is not doing it. Hearing it, seeing it is not growth. It's not you getting better, right? You get better when you're in the trenches. You don't get better when you're sitting up in the general's tent talking to people about, all the cool stuff and you're learning a couple of new techniques. And no, man, no. You grow when you, hit a milestone and be like, oh, wow, I figured that out. Oh, shit. Okay, well, maybe not. I'm not quite sure. And then you go, well, fuck it. Day 6. What does day 6 have for me? All right. Well, day 6. I'm kind of noodling a little bit. I'm trying to find the form here. Notice that there's a repetition in the lines here in the eye, and that's not a good thing, right? It starts to lead to this weird patterning. But it doesn't matter because what Bryan is doing, he's not trying to make an awesome sculpt. I mean, he is, but the goal isn't an awesome sculpt. The goal is every single day. The goal isn't, hey, I'm going to make this awesome sculpt. The goal is every single day. What are you doing every single day, right? Because by the end of this, you're going to see how Bryan grew. These lips are freaking amazing lips. They are. And they're probably the best so far. These are a little thin. They don't have the volume, the little soft push. These are still a little confused in terms of that line of the lips right in there. Does he understand everything about the anatomy of the mouth there? Or is Bryan simply doing the work every day? You tell me what you think in the comments down below this, because I know the answer. The answer is he's working, man. Day 8. Just started the boot camp. And I didn't do the assignment 100% correctly. But that's the point, is not the assignment. The point is the work every day. It's the effort. It's going through and making something happen. All right? He's trying to figure out what's happening in the brow. Now, a lot of people, and you might be one of them, and I certainly was one of them, they would be like, fuck, I don't know the brow. Shit. Now I got to go study the brow. Bryan was like, screw it. Actually, it wasn't like screw it. He did some more work on it. And then day 9, a brand new figure. And look at this. This is the great thing, right? Because here's a model that we can compare. We can compare this model with the one that he did before. What's the 100%? There we go. Okay. And then we can open that. Oh, it's quite large. There, just look at that for a second. Even though this was simple, he's getting more of a sense of the cheek in this. He's getting more complex lips, this nose. He's getting a little bit, he's getting more form, and that neck is a stronger neck because, as I explained to everybody, don't put the sternocleido in. Just focus on the simple cylinder, okay? And this is a day of sculpting. It's not the end, because this actually becomes his major character. Putting in some orc time. World of Warcraft is Bryan's goal. And day 10, because he wants to be on that Blizzard team. There you go. So in this case, he's plain, but look at his brow. He really did a more successful brow here, I think, right? But he did a more successful brow here because he was playing with it earlier. Okay, where is day? Here's where one of the shifts happens, okay? I want you to notice this. Let's pull ahead. And do you see more information here than in any of the other sculpts? Do you see more information? Look at what's going on in the eye. He's probably using the rock as reference. It feels like the rock. It's pretty awesome, right? Day 12, look at that. Man, you can sense it, right? He's on a roll. Something's happening. Okay, and guys are in here helping each other. Thomas is talking about all this stuff and helping them understand all this. This is the artist awake. This is what I love about it, is everybody's in there helping. Okay, let's come in here and notice he's starting to get more and more. And I'm jumping ahead here for a reason. Okay, and I'm going to come back to this. Day 16. Look at that. His dream is working at Blizzard. That's the goal, right? And look at that. In 16 days. I mean, come on. In 16 days. Let's put that at top. And right there. And where is the original? Let's go back in time and get day 1. All right, push this off to the side a little bit. Get this guy off to the side a little bit. And there you go. All right. You see his side view is stronger. He's got some really amazing things happening in the nasolabial fold. He's got some great things happening in the eye, the brow. He's really getting in there with a nice cheek, really starting to figure out some of the slope and some of the stuff happening around the mouth. And look at how much more detailed the nose is with the different lateral cartilage and this brow raised up. And there's a lot more things going on here. Okay. Now, his first sculpt, this day 1, I think is just great, right? I mean, I think this is great. He was feeling a little uncomfortable, but now compare it with his day 2, which is a little bit more what he was familiar with. And you can see so much growth, I think. In 16 days, you can see so much growth. An amazing amount of growth that really speaks to one thing. Because, I'd like to take credit for Bryan's growth. Actually, I wouldn't. I'm not that kind of person. But, let's say it would be really nice if we could. Okay? The growth comes because Bryan did the work. I can't make Bryan do the work. It's not possible. I can't make you do the work. Okay? The growth came because Bryan did the work. All right, and the work starts in this. It's one of the first assignments in the game art, in the character artist bootcamp over at Game Art Institute. Find 50 words for the face. Okay, that's what I tell people to do, and then make a breakdown of it where you show them. Bryan went next level, right? And that, I'm keeping it simple. I want you guys to find 50 words for the face, okay? And then those who go next level, I know these are the guys, right? These are the guys that are on that track. They're on that fast track to grow because they're doing the work every single day. Now, that doesn't mean that, everybody else is just screwed. Because, like me, some people have families and it takes a lot of time and all of that. So really what it all comes down to is, what do you do every day? What are you doing every day? Are you doing something every day? That's the key, right? Do you have a lot of stuff going on in life? Simplify. Try to simplify as much as you can. That doesn't mean get rid of your kids. It just means simplify all the crazy, because this is a serious job and you can do this job. You can get that work. You can do this and do it and be paid crazy money to do this. But you do, no matter what, have to put the time in. So you might have to put the bridge game away, you might have to put Game of Thrones away, and you might have to do this during that time. But 50 words for the face, and look what it did to his work. Okay? Next piece of work that he did here, and you can see he's starting to think it through. You can probably even see the actor that he's thinking about. And now it's a struggle, but look at this. He's got this beautiful shape of the cranium where he barely thought about the cranium at all before. Barely. Look at the mouth where he's really thinking this thing through. And the nose, how he's developing the bulb of the nose and he's really developing the eyes. I mean, it's just beautiful how this is working. And then, and it just keeps going. And so now we come back to this character. In fact, let's make sure that this is the latest version of her. There we go. And it comes back to this character, which is his character. And look at the nose. There's so much amazing anatomy and form and everything inside here. You know, he's just doing a crazy good job to achieve results. And this is, I think, what? Let's find out what the one was right before this. Another daily. This is day 16 or so. Yeah, this is day 15 or 16. Look at how beautiful this work is here in the nose and how separated that nose is. So the bulb of the nose is its own thing. Very important in female sculpts. Super important. Look at this and this plane in here. Okay, and you're starting to really get this clean, and you can really sense, even though he's keeping it stylized, right? So you can see he's going back to that first. You got a clear sense of what's happening in here. And this is all straight up and down, and you got a clear sense. One of the things that we talk about is if you want to make a female character, and I usually advise men against making female characters because it's just one of the hardest things to do for a dude. But if you're going to do it, you got to look at what makes people appealing. And one of the studies out there shows that Scarlett Johansson has the most beautiful, most adorable nose, I guess, because it's at a 45-degree slant or something like that. And so we study that, and that's the kind of thing that you have to be mindful of, right? And look at how he's put this neck in, and you have the sense that that neck is a cylinder, right? I got a clear sense that that neck is a cylinder, but at the same time, I got a little sense of the sternocleidomastoid and a little bit of the trapezius coming in and doing its work. And that's what we want, okay? So in a short period of time, he's leveling up his work and increasing his capacity, okay? Because it's not just a matter of, hey, I'm going to put together some face, and you see how flat this is right here in this part. So he wasn't very fluent with the infraorbital cheek fat and how that separates from the muzzle of the mouth and how that separates here. Okay, these are the kinds of things that pros notice. It's the difference between amateur and going pro. The difference between amateur and going pro is simply, can you see these things? This is why I love the boot camp, because it's focused on what moves the needle. What moves the needle is not, hey, Bryan, go out there and study everything about the anatomy. It's just, no. It's if you want to get better at the face, learn to distinguish the muzzle from the cheek from the orbit of the eye. Learn to make those all distinct forms. And when you do that, even if it's not massively visible, right? Like even if it's not massively visible what's actually happened, a professional knows it. A professional can see that, it looks like the zygomatic kind of pushed up into the eye a little too much. And then the cheek actually it became concave, as opposed to here where it's like, oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's beautiful, right? And that's not even to say like what happened here in the shoulder, right? Where here there's just like this soft mass of, that's something. which I understand, I do too. Here you're like, oh fuck, that's the acromion process, right? That's the clavicle that reached up there. You see the clavicle in there, and the acromion process drops in, and then you get this nice sense of the scapula back there. Where's the scapula here, right? It's beautiful form. And again, this is his model that he's going to be using and taking forward to get to that next level. But he didn't stop, right? So day 16, really cool. All right, now we have people do and work on the body, right? Day 17, really quick one, made a bunch of mistakes. But look at the nose on this. Like the nose from a front view. Look at the mouth where he's doing an expression for the first time. Enormous, and he's got hair in here, right? When does this guy sleep? Coming in here, and this is so much subtle form. Look at the distinction between the zygomatic, the cheek, and the mouth, just like I was talking about. Anatomy is information. A lot of people think that the way that you really show that you know that is you rattle off a bunch of facts. Okay? It's like, what's the difference between somebody who can win at Jeopardy and somebody who can, solve one of the world's toughest problems, like say Einstein solving something. Einstein wouldn't know all of the little facts that somebody who might win at Jeopardy does. But Einstein understands how to organize a system of thinking. And this, as Bryan is doing now, and as he has, in my mind, done already, is he has learned how to organize his thinking. How do you like that, Bryan? I just equated you with Einstein. It's not that Bryan knows every single piece of information of anatomy that's in there. It's that he has gone through the process to learn what really moves the needle. So he started to learn how to distinguish different parts of the face and develop some of the system of the face. That's the crazy part, right? And it just keeps going from here. So if we look at this, and we look at how much anatomy is in this, versus how much anatomy is in, where's day 2? Day 2. Oops. You can put that right off to the side. One of these days I'll learn how to use Photoshop. All right. What do you see? Do you see growth? I see growth. Next question. How did he get that growth? He took Ryan's bootcamp. Yeah, he did. And I gave him some pointers on how to think about anatomy, and the mentors gave him some pointers, and all of his students, his fellow students and fellow artists kind of all pitched in and gave him some tips. Right? That's true. That's absolutely true. But what really moved the needle is that he did the work every day. He did it every day. I mean, I wish I could tell you, it's easier than that. It's not. It's everyday work. It's not like every day and then, he kind of skipped the weekends. No, it's everyday work. Every day you're doing something. I know it's hard. And there's but look, what do you want to do? All right? It's just everyday work in some form or another. If you can't sculpt, draw. Everyday work, because every day makes a difference. This is why in the bootcamp we meet twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. It's because waiting until Monday or let's say Saturday is too long if you want real growth. It's too long. Now, some people can only commit that, so that's why we do live classes. But in the bootcamp, we want to meet 2 times, 3 times a week because we want to iterate quickly. In a normal class, you have 10 points of iteration. In a bootcamp, you got 20 to 30 points of iteration, and we've actually extended the bootcamp. We say it's 10 weeks, but so far we've been extending it 14 weeks or so. So there's even more than that. There's 28 points of interaction, or 40, 50 something, whatever the number is, right? I might be wrong. No, that was doubling it. So 30, should do 40 something. You get it. Somebody else do the math and leave me a note in the comments. All right, my friend, I wanted you to see this because as I was watching this, I was thinking about Bryan Link and his work, and I was thinking about how you grow, and I just thought that this had to be shared with you. And I'm looking forward to seeing how everybody grows here in the bootcamp. I'm looking forward to see how Bryan really kind of continues this momentum. And it doesn't mean that the momentum will continue, because you have to keep in mind there's ebbs and flows to this process. It's one of the reasons why when I was showing you this beginning, like for me, the breakout sculpt is that first one, but he wasn't comfortable with the first one. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, wow, he's more comfortable with this one. Okay? This is the ebb and the flow. You get comfortable, uncomfortable. All right? It's the ebb and the flow. It's why no matter what, you have to do the work, because you can't ebb and flow thinking it through in your head. The visualization helps you when you're ready to perform, but In order to be the athlete, to be the artist, to be the person who does this work, you got to do the work. And that's that. All right, man, take care of yourself. Remember, you can't get in here to the boot camp, fine, I get it. Do the work. I just gave it to you. That's your assignment. Do that and sculpt it every day. And feel comfortable and uncomfortable. Comfortable and uncomfortable. And if you think you suck, take whatever part of that voice inside you that said you suck, ram it into a very small closet underneath the stair, and put a padlock on that shit, because that voice has no place in the mind of you, the artist, going to the next level. You don't need that part of you. And that part of you is going to do nothing but tear it down, take it all the way down. Fuck that. Do not let it take you down. You're better than that. All right? Take care of yourselves, my friend, and I will talk to you later.